Marvin Williams comes to Salt Lake City. Summer League goes through separation period. The Dwight Howard world just holds right where it has been the whole time. Summer League's bigger for this player than anyone else. And a bunch of news around the NBA and the final tip-off for 9 days. Boom. Numbers continue to be amazing. So I leave town just so that you don't get in the habit of doing it all the time. That seems really contrary to business. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, wait, this isn't a business. It's not making any money, and I don't get paid for it. Bum, 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 bum. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Tip-Off. Hope you're great. I am going to take a flight in a few hours and step out of here. My in-laws are having their 50th wedding anniversary, and they are gracious enough to be taking our family as well as my wife's brother's family to Alaska on a cruise. We're going to stop by Seattle first, visit some friends quickly before boarding the boat. Might even see if I stop by and visit one or two people involved with Sonic's Arena, see how that is coming along. So anyway, I do want to. I thanked you yesterday. I don't want to do it ad nauseum. I might just start doing it every day, but I get the numbers reports, and it's just incredible the following that this is happening. It's a vision that you're a part of, and the hope is that we look back at this 20 years from now, and this revolutionized the way teams are covered by play-by-play announcers and the relationship between play-by-play announcers and fans. I just want to be a revolutionary. That sounded a little grandiose, didn't it? All right. Let's talk about a bunch of things. Marvin Williams comes to town. There's a great video up on the Jazz website. You got to catch it. The first thing he's like, "Hi, I'm Marvin Williams." He's like totally played, and everything I've heard, he's an unbelievable dude, and that he will be a real fan favorite. The bigger thing is that last year he had a huge spike or improvement in all of his defensive numbers. His defensive rebounding was really high level. His overall rebounding was top 10 of small forwards in the NBA. I think his defensive rebounding might have been top 6. Very high steal percentage. His defensive ratings, according to Basketball Reference, got dramatically better. And that's really what we need. I'm doing a huge statistical analysis piece that will be published later today. Bill Lee of UtahJazz.com is going to spice it up, make it look good for me. And it's all about offense. And we do get a little bit better. Marvin's a huge uptick from C.J. Miles and Josh Howard. However, the fact is we got to get better defensively. We were bottom 10 in the NBA defensively. We averaged about 100 and loud, according to Hoop Data, depending on who you use, about 100 and little around close to 104 points per 100 possessions, a little under that. And you got to get down to 100. You got to get down to 100. I mean, when we got down to 100 points per 100 possessions, we won. And that's what the top 10 teams in the NBA do. And if you're going to be great, you got to be one of them. And that's a huge jump. I mean, for all of our discussions and everything else we talk about, needing outside shooters, we got to get better offensively. I mean, defensively. We don't have to get better offensively. According to Hoop Data, we were 7th. According to Hollinger, we were 9th best offensive team. And we do get better offensively. The Marvin Williams uptick helps us a little bit. Actually, Mo Williams statistically is a downturn from Devin. But I think a lot of the reason Devin got moved was never played defensively as they'd hoped. So that's something Mo Williams will hopefully do. Marvin Williams will be a huge defensive uptick from C.J. Miles and Josh Howard. And, Favors gets on the floor more. That'll help. Now, Favors gets on the floor more, it's going to hurt us offensively, ironically enough. So you start into this balancing act. But the first thing that's got to get fixed is the defensive stuff, and hopefully we're on the right road to do that. Doing this statistical analysis, what jumped out at me is growth from within. I mean, it's still up to Favors and Burks and Cantor to a minor amount in the possessions they use to get better. The analysis will be up either weareutahjazz.com/lockedonjazz. But if you look at it, you'll see Burks and Favors are at 0.9 points per possession. It's not great. Jefferson and Millsap are at 0.98. Jefferson's really quite good because he doesn't turn the ball over. And, I don't think I give him enough credit for that. He does not turn the ball over. And that's a huge deal. And Marvin didn't turn the ball over last year either. Getting the shot off is really the first task of every possession. It's like defensive rebounding is the last task. Jazz were a decent defensive rebounding team last year. I think about 11th in the NBA, which was much better. Marvin hopefully helps in that. If you don't defensive rebound, it doesn't matter what you do. Otherwise, the uptick hopefully takes place. But what I noticed is, really it's up. If we're going to make the big jump, it's up to Burks to get better and Favors to get better a little bit offensively. They were good. They're okay. They're right on average, but they've got to get a little bit better if they're going to use those possessions and be that guy. And you can look at that when it comes out. The other interesting one is Summer League. I thought yesterday was Separation Day. There have been some players, whether I don't want to, I kind of feel like some of these Summer League guys are like college guys. That you don't really want to criticize them. We got a few guys that are playing for us who I think are terrible. No need me pointing it out who it is. But what is obvious, and the only thing that's worth pointing out on that is when you're evaluating, when you're looking at one of our players and seeing how he plays, if you're really evaluating, if you're a freak like me and you're trying to look at these things, the only thing I would tell you is to take a quick second and look who he's on the floor with. Kevin Murphy's playing a lot of minutes on the floor with guys that can't play in the NBA, and that makes it very hard for him to play. Um, I'll go back, by the way, side note, to what I said yesterday on this. I think it's very difficult for you as a fan. Um, I talk to enough people. I've been around this league for 22 years now. Um, I have pretty strong level confidence. It's what I do for a living. I see something. I think I've talked to enough GMs and enough scouts and enough coaches. I kind of understand what you want, and I'm definitely out of the Jazz philosophy of how things are supposed to look and what you're supposed to do and how you play. And I feel pretty confident when I read something of whether there is a level of accuracy to it or not. And I cannot tell you how much stuff I read, analysis of our own players from people who I would assume you guys, as a fan, you'd say, oh, I trust this guy. It's crazy. So I don't, and I'm not going to get into a pissing match where I try to point out, I guess I'm doing it right now, but where I try to point out everybody I think's an idiot. I don't actually think any of them are idiots. I just used the wrong word. It's 6:20 in the morning. I just don't, where I point out that I have a different opinion than everyone else, and I think my opinion's right, is really what that comes down to. I mean, I guess there's no saying that I'm right every single time, but okay, most of the time. The So anyway, I just feel for you in that. But Summer League was just separation. It's just so abundantly clear who an NBA player are. Evans, Burks, and Cantor just are so obviously NBA players, and Murphy's right on the cusp of it. And Nicholson of Orlando's right on the cusp of it. And there wasn't another player on the floor yesterday who looked worthy of playing in the league. Kyle O'Quinn's a kid out of Norfolk State who I actually watched video of. I really liked. I thought he matched what we were doing. I thought he was a good pickup. He looked awful. Cantor killed him. Cantor should. That's the other angle is, Cantor and Burks and Evans played pretty well. They should. They've played in the NBA for a year. In case of Evans, they've played for 2 against guys that haven't. It took them a day to adjust to this thing, but Burks should kill these guys. He's got a special, unique skill that means he's going to be able to score in the NBA. He should be able to score in Summer League. And, Cantor should be able to use his size and his power and be physically dominating down low, which is what he is. The thing on Cantor we're not talking about enough is his physical size defensively will hold ground on post players. He really is going to be able to hold ground well on post players. Watching, really truthfully, what happened, watching Jeremy Evans try to play the post last night, just watching him get put on roller skates and gets pushed back every time, reminding me of, there's a real value to just the guy who can put the forearm in the back, put his legs down. You just can't move Cantor. He's just tremendously strong. There aren't a ton of players in the NBA who play back to the basket, but that's a real asset to have. I mean, that's like having a shutdown perimeter defender. And the fact is, yeah, he can't block shots, but there aren't that many guys who, when guarding the man, are going to be able to block a shot. In other words, if Andrew Bynum has the ball in the post, you're not going to defend him by blocking the shot. You're going to defend him by keeping him off the block of where he wants to be. If Pekovic gets the ball down low for Minnesota, that's the same thing. LaMarcus Aldridge, same thing. You're going to defend those guys by beating the crap out of them and making it so that they don't want to go deep in the post. You're not going to block their shots as a defensive. Maybe the weak side guy's going to have an impact, but rarely. They're going to block the shot from the weak side, from the other guy when a guard drives in the lane or something like that. But really not on that. And I think Cantor's going to be, he's got to pick up the lateral quickness so that he doesn't get beat when someone straightens up on him. But holding somebody off the post, he's going to be very, very valuable in that regard. And offensively, he's just got to learn how to use his skills. We're seeing that. I've been very impressed by Murphy. I'm not seeing any problem of lack of separation or anything of that nature in the NBA. I think he is having a hard time. If you've watched him play at Tennessee Tech, which I assume most people haven't, and I hadn't until I got a bunch of tapes, he's having a hard time playing in between his two systems. of the way the Jazz want to play and the way he's played for the last 3 years at Tennessee Tech, and you can see him kind of revert in between the two. And when he does, I don't like the Tennessee Tech game. He's overplaying his hand in the NBA, but when he plays inside the Jazz game, coming off the curls, hitting the spot up, those kind of things, I think he's looked very good. Jeremy Evans was terrific yesterday, but the fact on Jeremy is still he got overpowered in the post, and you just got to weigh this game with Jeremy of, okay, I'm giving a blatant weak advantage to the other team. The fact he's not big enough to defend anybody in the post. Am I going to get enough of plays the other way? And Jeremy's got to be content to not become more than just a jumper. He's got to start the dribble drive game. He's got to start a shooting pull-up jumper game. At Western Kentucky, he just played right at the rim all the time, and so pulling him away from the rim is a very different concept for him. But it's very hard for a coach to put a player out on the floor where they know they are giving up such a blatant advantage to the other team, and that's still where Jeremy is at that point. I got a plane to catch. So I got to go fast forward mode here for a little bit. I think the most important story that's come out of all the Dwight Howard stuff was Deron Williams sharing in Vegas the other day that when they were on the 2008 team, he and Dwight were talking about playing together in Orlando. Unfortunately for us, it's never going to be, hey, come to Utah and play with us. But the fact that Deron, after 2008, which I believe was the Western Conference final year, was at that Olympic team talking about playing at other teams, tells you that the Jazz read those tea leaves perfectly. I really give Deron credit. I think he's dealt with this thing as well as anyone. There wasn't, you watch LeBron blow it up and Dwight ruin it and Carmelo do it wrong. I give Deron great credit for how he dealt with it. I don't think he's nearly as bad a guy as everyone wants to portray him to be or anything of that nature, but it's clear from the Jazz standpoint that they read those tea leaves correctly, and there's really no debate left in regards to that. Jimmer Fredette will start Summer League while I am on this trip. This is going to define his career. They've told Isaiah Thomas to not come to Summer League. They are turning the Summer League team over to Jimmer Fredette. They were greatly disappointed in how he ran the pick and roll last year. And looking back at their BYU films, they were just surprised at how poorly he actually ran it at BYU. He was a completely rhythm player. There was a play the other night yesterday with Kevin Murphy where he came off a pick, took the one dribble to get his shot off. And I said, it's great that he came off the curl and made the shot. He's got to get rid of the one dribble. In the NBA, you just can't do that. This period of time, week for Jimmer, and it's going to be hard, just coming off getting married and everything else. I don't know where he is for his game. But this is going to be the most important week for Jimmer's career. He could quickly head toward Adam Morrison if he has a bad week. And if he has a good week, he either forces the hand of Sacramento or somebody else who wants to use his skills will try to come get him. But if we're really honest about his rookie year, every concern that was possible about his rookie year happened. It's nice for Jimmer fans to say, well, it's because he was in Sacramento. You know what? Most players are able to overcome the situation they're in if they're going to be that good. Things didn't go right for Jimmer in that first year, whether skills translation to the NBA for whatever reason. And this is as important a week for any top 10 pick. And you look back, Joe Alexander, Milwaukee had one of these, and he was gone. He had a bad week and he was gone. You just either he's got to come out. He's got to play inside the team concept, but at the same time he's got to show he can get a shot off. He's got to be somewhat fabulous. He should dominate these guys. But if he doesn't, it would be concerning. Quick note: Warriors at Jared Jack. I like that pickup. A lot of pickups of people that just don't move the meter anymore. Elton Brand, Chris Kaman, Darren Collison are all. Kaman and Collison went to Dallas. Brand may go to Dallas. They just don't move the meter. Final thing on the rivalry. I have kind of stayed away from it. It's disappointing. I said this a while back when we talked about it, BYU and Utah rivalry going away for a while. It's a travesty because it hurts the fans, and nobody cares about the fans anymore. And I thought Tom Homo had an interesting point that if Utah fans really demanded it, they'd play. And I wish Utah fans would. I understand why Dr. Hill's doing what he's doing. I understand why Kyle Whittingham's doing what he's doing. I wish the fans would stand up and not let him do it. The only critical comment I would make on all of this is the idea that you go to the Pac-12 and you suddenly can't play BYU anymore. I mean, if that's your argument, that just competitively it's too much, then you're not ready for the Pac-12. If it's a financial thing, you got to have enough home games. That's an unfortunate reality, and I don't think there's any denying that there's numbers that have to be met, and these things have gotten expensive, and it's too bad. And so some of this is unavoidable. On the other end, a lot of this is avoidable, and a lot of this is just getting inside your own cocoon and kind of only living inside of it instead of stepping outside the cocoon and looking at the impact. I think the really sad thing is going to be if Utah ends up being a middle of the pack Pac-12 team, which frankly is what they were in year one, and I think they will be most years. And then they've also lost the rivalry game out of that. You lose a little bit of your soul and your essence, and I hope that that's not the case the way this plays out. All right, that's my thoughts. Really, the bottom line is it kills the fans. It's been a great part of our culture, and it's too bad it's gone.